4 out of 5 claims from Gemini 3.5 Pro are completely unverifiable right now, and the one that does hold up is native multimodality. 0 official benchmarks published, and if you're planning a production build around this model today, you're betting real money on marketing copy. Gemini 3.5 Pro launched in June 2026 with some pretty bold claims, so the timing matters a lot here. I'm testing all 5 of those claims against every official spec, community benchmark, and third-party source I could actually track down. Cross-checked so you're not just getting the Google blog post version. The claim that actually holds up isn't the one you'd expect, and it changes the whole calculus on whether this is worth adopting right now. So stick around for the conditional verdict at the end. My name is Brian, and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day, so you don't have to be. I went through every published number, every community report, and every official spec sheet Google put out for Gemini 3.5 Pro, so we can actually figure out what's real and what's just a press release. You've probably heard both sides on this one. Some people are saying Gemini 3.5 Pro is the new default for production AI work. Others are saying it's vaporware until Google ships real numbers. If you're a developer running 10 million tokens a month through an API, the pricing gap alone could mean thousands of dollars in either direction. Claim 1 is coding and reasoning performance. Google says Gemini 3.5 Pro matches or beats GPT-4o on coding tasks, and the day your model fails mid-refactor on a 5,000-line codebase, you've burned hours of developer time and potentially shipped a broken build. So I went looking for the actual benchmark numbers to see if that claim holds. What I found was kind of shocking. Google has not published a single official benchmark score for Gemini 3.5 Pro as of June 28, 2026. The only numbers I could find were for the Flash sibling model, which scored 76.2% on Terminal Bench 2.1 and 83.6% on MCP Atlas, both community reported, and GPT 5.5 sits at 78.2% on Terminal Bench, so there's literally nothing to compare Pro against. Claim 1 doesn't hold up. The Flash floor gives us a rough sense of the family's capability, but that's not the same thing as Pro data, and what I actually found on Pro's coding performance was a complete blank. Coding and reasoning is unverifiable. 0 out of 1 claims holding up so far. Claim 2 is the 2 million token context window. 2 million tokens is a genuinely massive number, basically an entire codebase or a library of documents in one prompt. But if the model loses coherence at 500,000 tokens and nobody's published a needle in a haystack test to prove otherwise, you could build a whole pipeline around that context window and get garbage outputs at scale. What I found here is a mixed picture. The 2 million token claim is on the official page, but there is 0 third-party verification of whether accuracy actually holds at that window size. And the Flash sibling has a confirmed 1 million token context, with community reports saying it's measurably better than Gemini 3.1 Pro at its max, which is a good sign architecturally, but it's not proof for Pro. To be fair, the architectural improvements from Flash to Pro are real, and they do suggest better long context handling than the previous generation, so the claim has some plausible grounding. Claiming 2 million tokens and actually proving coherence at 2 million tokens are two very different things, though, and right now we only have the first one. Claim 2 is also unverifiable. The window size is claimed and architecturally plausible, but there's no accuracy retention data at any window size for Pro, and that's 2 unverifiable claims now. 0 out of 2 holding up, and both are partial at best. Claim 3, Gemini 3.5 Pro is 2 to 3 times faster than previous Gemini versions, and that number is right there in the marketing. Speed matters a lot when you're running agentic workflows where the model is calling tools and looping back repeatedly, because a 2x speed difference on a 20-step agent loop is a huge deal for your cost and latency. What surprised me here is that there's no throughput or latency data published for Gemini 3.5 Pro at all. The Flash sibling does show roughly 2x improvement over Gemini 3.1 Pro on output tokens per second, which is real and community reported, but that's Flash, not Pro, and Google's 2 to 3x faster claim, for Pro has nothing behind it right now. Claim 3, unverifiable. I couldn't find any internal throughput numbers from Google on the Pro tier, and the speed story is borrowed entirely from Flash data. That puts us at 0 out of 3 claims holding up, and the pattern here is pretty clear. 2 claims left, and this is where it actually gets interesting because one of them is the only claim in this whole review that has real verified data behind it, And it might be the reason you adopt Gemini 3.5 Pro anyway, while the other one is about pricing and the range is wild. Claim 4 is native multimodality across text, image, audio, video, and code without separate API calls. A solo developer building a product that needs to handle video uploads, audio transcription, and code generation in one pipeline has to pay for 3 separate APIs if the model can't do it natively. And that's a cost problem, a reliability problem, and a latency problem all at once. Okay, so this is the one that actually delivered. Both Gemini 3.5 Pro and Flash handle all 5 modalities natively with no separate API calls needed, confirmed in official documentation, and Pro uses an early Fusion architecture with a unified decoder and modality-specific encoders, which is a genuinely interesting approach. This is the one claim I found that's fully backed by real specs. Claim 4 partially holds up, and it's the bright spot in this whole review. The native multimodality is real and verified, but quality at scale is still an open question, so I'm calling it a partial pass rather than a full one, which brings us to 0 full claims verified, 1 partial pass out of 4 tested so far. Claim 5 is cheaper than GPT-4o. Community estimates for Gemini 3.5 Pro's pricing span a 7x range, from $2 all the way to $15 per million input tokens. And if you're running 50 million tokens a month and you budget based on the low end of that range, but the actual price comes in at the high end, that's potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in unexpected API costs. I couldn't find any official pricing page for Gemini 3.5 Pro anywhere. Community estimates range from $2 to $15 per million input tokens and $12 to $60 per million output tokens. And for reference, Flash is confirmed at $1.50 input and $9 output per million tokens, while GPT 5.5 is $5 input and $30 output. So Pro's pricing is a complete unknown. Claim 5, unverifiable. Google hasn't published even a preview pricing tier, so the cheaper than GPT-4o argument has nothing to stand on right now. Final tally, 0 out of 5 claims fully verified, 1 partial pass on multimodality, and that's the honest scorecard. Alright, so here's where Gemini 3.5 Pro genuinely shines. Native multimodality is real and confirmed. Text, image, audio, video, and code, all in one model without separate API calls. The 2 million token context is architecturally supported. DeepThink reasoning mode adds a real capability tier for complex problem solving, and the early Fusion architecture is a genuinely novel approach. And here's where it falls short, no softening. 0 official benchmark scores published for coding or reasoning. The 2 to 3x speed claim has no pro data behind it at all. Pricing is a 7x range of community guesses, and long context accuracy at 2 million tokens has never been tested publicly, which is a lot of unknowns for a flagship model. I went in thinking at least 2 or 3 claims would hold up, and 4 out of 5 came back unverifiable. So here's the decision rule. If you need native multimodality across all 5 modalities today and you're okay experimenting with a model that doesn't have public benchmarks yet, Gemini 3.5 Pro is worth a look once Google ships real numbers, but skip it if you need verified production performance right now. 0 full claims, 1 partial pass. That's the whole story. I ran Gemini 3.5 Flash head-to-head against GPT 5.5 next, and the pricing story flips completely because Flash's confirmed $1.50 input rate changes the whole cost calculation against GPT 5.5's $5 input rate, and that full breakdown is already on the channel if you want the comparison with actual verified numbers.